Hi everybody, this is Erin. I am going to do a little project for Rebekah Meier Designs. She designs for the Crafters Workshop. She has a whole bunch of these fun new kits that are going to come into Michael's, and you can check out her website, which is going to be below this video. I'll have a link down in the, if you click the more section, it'll be down there. But we were given, and there was a whole bunch of us, I believe there's 12 of us, that all got different types of these mixed media kit. And these are all from the Designer Crafts Connection group, and we're doing a little blog hop with this. Mine is this mini paper quilt. So if you want to see all the bits and pieces of things that we got from this kit, just go ahead and check out the little iCard and you can see all the fun stuff that's in here. My plan is actually to take all the pieces of the kit, including the packaging that it came in. My idea was, and because I keep seeing it repeating in a few of her things, and it kind of gave me my inspiration for my color, because everything here is very white, is on her tissue paper here, I keep seeing all these little bees. So I know not all of them are bees, but they look kind of bee-like or bug-like to me. And then on here, she has the same little bugs. And so, I kept seeing kind of the yellowy, so yellow is going to be my theme. Pulled off, and you can kind of see a little bit of the smattering here. Every paint color that I had, that kind of, and I know this is a really dark orange, but, and not just mist and stuff, but little paints that I have. This is one from Michael's, the new shimmers, a lot of my Tattered Angel stuff, lots of mixed media, lots of spraying, lots of stenciling. And we're going to make a little book. I'm in a book phase right now. I don't know why. I just kind of love the book. Sit back, let's have some fun. First thing I'm going to do is going to kind of construct the book by tearing up all of the background pages and papers and kind of creating my pages of my book that I will then stitch together. So let's get started with that. All right, so I've gone through and I think I have enough pages. So I did want to pick one of every type of style of paper that I had, or however you want to call that. So, and I have a lot of material. The material is kind of the main part of my book, and then I have one page in between each material. And again, all yellowy, orangey colors is what I'm going for. At this point, I'm going to let these things really dry. So probably let them sit for a good hour or two. I have heat set them, but I want them to go further. So that's the next step, dry time. All right, so all of my layers have dried, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take one of my new brushes, and I'm going to take the soft matte gel, and I'm going to take some sections of the tissue paper and just kind of rip and cut and start layering over top of some of these papers. So I didn't cover them with mist, so I think I'm going to do like 3 of them. And these are just the standard papers. I think this one I misted, but these ones I haven't. And just use the gel and just kind of tear and add some layers onto that. Kind of like a decoupage kind of a feel. Now I'm going to speed this up so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so while these are drying and I have everything kind of wet and out, I went ahead and pulled out my 2 Rebekah Meier stencils, and I'm going to use pieces of both of them. This one's called Labyrinth, and I think this one's called Time Bee. I'll put the link at the bottom, or I'll show a little clip about what this one's called. So I'm going to use some light paste. I'm going to use some texture paste. I'm going to use some whip spackle. I'm just going to kind of play and have some fun and layering them on all the different layers. So let's have some fun. So I've gone through now and added stencils to both sides, and then I went back and I added various kinds of paints using one of my paint brushes and just some darker colors of the glimmer mists, and just kind of adding lots of textures to all these sides. Some of them haven't had stencils yet, but I am going to go back and probably add some more stenciling. The beauty of doing a book like this is that the more layers you have, the cooler it looks. So at this point, what I am going to do is I'm going to take a couple of different stamp sets that I have. These are cling stamps from Paper Wings Productions. This one's all about what's called writing backgrounds, so really cool script stuff. So I'm going to add these, not to the ones that already have script, but to like these ones, the ones that are a little more plain, have some stuff going on, but I want to add some more. And I'm going to do this all in black. And this is a chalk resist edger, so it's not going to bleed when I add some more ink to it. The other one is art textures. As you can see, these are all these fun kind of textures on here, and add lots of layers of stamps to all of this. So let's get going. So I've let everything kind of dry for another round. So we've added all the stamps, we've added some layers. So now we're going to go in and add even more layers. This time I'm going to do some layers with some black gesso and continue to work with the stencils. Alright, so I've decided I wasn't really too fond of the way that this one looked. While some of my other layers of the gesso, so I put the black gesso with some of the stenciling, are drying, I'm going to take a couple of the pages that, like again, I wasn't too thrilled about this one. So I'm going to cover it up, and I'm going to make a couple of my fabric pages into a puffy page using some of the batting. So I'm going to cut it down so it can fit in between my two layers, a little bit shorter, a little bit narrower. And again, I'm not too concerned that my pages are perfectly in line. I'm mostly just wanting to, look at that, make them a little bit puffed up just for fun, and then cover up the one page. So again, I've made a ton of pages here, and is every single page going to be something I'm going to use? Maybe not. And all I'm going to use is just a simple needle and simple thread, and go around and kind of sew it together so this becomes a single page versus two. I am going to double up my thread, and I'm not going to go super tight on my stitching. I'm just going to use a basic whip stitch going all the way around on it. Hide my knot in one corner, and then just kind of go around and then just stitching these together. I'm going to go back down. I'm going to show you just the first couple. And I'm just gonna kind of line this up. I'm also gonna go in with my Beacon Fabri-Tac glue. This is a special glue specifically for all different types of fabrics. And I am going to glue my batting to the inside between these two layers. I'm gonna flip over into the other just so it won't shift around, and it stays right in the middle between these two. So now I can kind of shift it around and it'll stay firm. So even if my stitching is not super perfect, it'll be something. So now that this is here, I'm just going to go back a little bit further, make these really big stitches just like that, and it just is going to add a really pretty effect to my entire page. Because I've added lots of layers of paint and stuff, this is going to be a little bit tough to get through some sections. So just take your time. Just nice big stitches. I'm going to speed this up so it doesn't take so long. So here's a fun little kind of puffy page now. It's like a little kind of a quilted feel, and it's ready. I think I might do one more of these fun, and this will be the inside and the outside of my books will be these fun puff pages. So I found a couple other pages where I'm liking one side more than the other. I'm not too entirely thrilled with this side. It just kind of got a little messed up. I'm really wanting my bees to kind of shine through. So I love this side. I love the textures that are going on here, and between this side and this side, I'm liking this side better. So I'm going to make sure my bee is lined up correctly, and I'm going to lay this guy on top like that. So this will be my page as we turn it like that. And the inside is not dry. This is not completely dry, but that's okay. So I'm going to get my batting again and repeat the same thing I did on this one. So now I have my front and back cover. I don't know what's going to be what yet, but we will play and see. So in our package we got the stuff called Easy Steam 2, and what you're supposed to use this for is you cut out fabrics and then steam it, and that I think was her purpose. But I'm going to try it doing something a little different. So what I've gotten here is I've gotten all my different dies, and I've got my little Cuttlebug, and I'm going to die cut out what I want the shape to be on this. So I'm just going to die cut a few out of my little die storage. I'm kind of flipping through and just picking out fun things that I want to make as shapes and start cutting away. So now that I've cut out the Easy Steam 2, I'm going to peel off the one side, and it's going to have a little bit of a tacky surface. So this is just paper, this is trash. But now I've got a tacky surface. I'm going to go ahead and lay this down. It's kind of wherever I want. And I'm going to peel up the other side. It's a little hard to sometimes get off paper, but once you do, it comes off no problem. Just kind of lightly peel it. It's going to try to stick to everything, so go ahead and try and get to keep its shape as best as possible. If you mess it up, you mess it up. It's just the way it's going to go. It's very kind of fragile. So I messed up a little bit of my flower right here. And you know what? I'm not too worried about that. This is a mixed media project. Some things are supposed to be kind of grungy and messy. So I'm just kind of going with it. So lay it down, get it on as best as you can. And then we're going to try something fun. We're going to see if this works with glitter. So get out your glitter, and it should stick. To the sticky part. And see how it's sticking to the flowery part that's on here. Now we're going to go in and kind of heat set it almost as if it was like an embossing powder. I'm going to try that too at some point, so let's just see how it's. There it goes. It's kind of flattening back out again. It's still a little hot, so I don't want to go in and touch it yet. I can kind of flatten it out with this. And now it's not coming off. So look at that. That's pretty fun. So that's kind of a fun way. It stays on there to get some glitter onto some projects without having to go in and using paint and stuff. And you can do some fine, you can use your dyes for this. It's kind of a fun way to get some glitteriness. So as you can just see, I just went through with my Cuttlebug and I took a whole bunch of these little Spellbinders dies. These ones are actually Heartfelt Creations, and it's one of their little nesting dies that's various sets of flowers. The first thing I did with all of them, and you just saw me do a video about how to cut and then use it with the glitter, is I went through and I cut a ton with the Easy Steam 2, I went and cut a ton of little flowers. I then took some of the extra pieces and I pulled the backing off and I put the tissue paper on the one side. So it's a really fun way to get some tissue paper that's already now going to be like a sticker. So I'm going to go through like I did with my other sheet. Let me see if I can find it real fast. I've kind of laid my book out. I think there it is. And so this was done. This has been going for a few days. This hasn't all been done in one day. This was done a few days ago, and it is doing a fantastic job of keeping that glitter on there. I mean, it is on there. It is good. Tiny bits coming off because that's just glitter, but it hasn't, with me rubbing and it's sitting for a few days, it has done a fantastic job sealing the glitter onto the page. Okay, so I went through and I kind of pulled a whole bunch of little fun things that kind of fit in our color scheme. And some of these may or may not work. I have not tried the mica powder, but I pulled a series of 4 colors that kind of fit within our orangey and yellowy color. I don't want to add any more black because there's a lot of black already. I found a gold embossing powder, so that's kind of fun. I found a toffee flower soft. I mean, I'm dealing with a sticky surface, so basically what I'm going to add is making that something sticky. And then I know glitter works because I already tried that. So I pulled a whole bunch of fun glitters. I had this pack left over from a conference I went to. These were making little fun cards. So we're just going to kind of play and see what happens and go from there. So here we go. We got our layers of fun glitter and mica powder. I really like the mica powder. It kind of added, and I'll show you a couple close-up pictures. So cover page didn't do much of anything. So here is, this is the embossing powder. This is the true embossing powder, and it left a nice rough texture. Look how pretty that is. Those are just gorgeous. Here are two of the different glitters. One of them is a Martha Stewart, and one of them is a Prima Finnebar glitter. I just thought the colors were just gorgeous on this. So here those are. Beautiful. Over on this side, this is the mica powder. Look how pretty that is. It just gives this really cool sheen, and I believe it's just this color right here. So this is just a neutral. I tried to pick all different colors that would really work well. This is the gold, which is this gold right here. Let me make sure everything's capped off so I don't have spillage. And then over here is this one right here. And this one's got some big chunks in it, so I had a hard time kind of picking up. I also went through here. Look, this is another one of the mica powders. Isn't it gorgeous? It just looks like it almost kind of blends in with the page. Here's another glitter. This one I just kind of, if you notice, I used some of the leftovers from my little tidy tray because there's a ton in here, and I just smashed it in there. So here's some more of the mica powders, some more of the glitters. Here's another mica powder. I liked it how, here's another glitter. I liked how it also kind of picked up, and I tried to match if there was some of the peachy color. I tried to pull in some of the peach. Here's some more of the glitter. This one's blank. Here's another mica powder. See how it just kind of fits right in? It looks gorgeous, really stands out. It did not want to stick, this is the foam piece. It really did not want to stick to this textured foam piece, so I just pulled it off and went with another one. So here's another. See how, look, it just kind of blends in with that. It almost doesn't even look like it's there, but it is. It's just this little hint of something. Here's a couple. I like to also, because I didn't have enough for at least to have one flower on every page, I cut some in half to make it look like there was a little bit more, and they weren't just kind of floating around in nowhere. And so here's another fun one. And then I didn't do any on the front or the back covers. I just kind of left those alone. So here's my book as it stands right now. All the pages have dried. We finished adding kind of, basically we've assembled the base layer to all the pages. I am going to add some embellishments, and that's going to be a part 2 video because this one's getting kind of long. But we've done a ton of really cool things. Now, one of the first crafts that I remember doing before I kind of got into what I would call scrapbooking and then mixed media from that is I would love to do those little beading where you had, you know, felt shapes, and then you had sequins and beads, and you'd sew on and do all kinds of fun patterns. And I have a ton of sequins and little seed beads left over. So I'm going to make my binding out of that by layering in some different textures. So between each sequin you add a bead, or between each bead you add a sequin, and it's just kind of a fun way of doing something. So I am going to run, and we are going to do 2 layers here. I'm going to do my best to try and keep them as centered as possible. I really have no rhyme or reason to exactly how this is going to fit, because some pages are narrower than others. So I'm really going to try and go straight down the middle with this and hit like right about here on my pages. And I'm just going to judge as I go through each layer of a page where it's going to hit. But I'm going to show you the gist, and then I'll speed this up. So because I have a little knot on the back, I have a really long thread, and so I'm just going to do one side. I'm going to go down just right here on my book. So I'm going to hide this because this was one of the batted pages because we put the batting in between. I'm going to hide my thread in here so that we don't see my knot. I did want to double up my thread. This is just standard old Coats and Clark thread, nothing fancy. This is this, you know, just all-purpose thread. If you're gonna do seeding, if you're gonna do seed beads, you have to use a tiny needle, and you cannot use a really super thick thread. So I love little mini books, if you can't tell already, but I'd like to change up what I'm doing with my mini books. Okay, so now I gotta go back through. I do want to add a fun little sequin and a bead to the front. So throw on a sequin, throw on one bead, and this is where you have to make sure you have a small enough needle because your little bead has to fit cleanly through the needle. And there you go. So a little fun little embellishment on the front here. If you want to add a big fun large sequin for the front page, go for it. Now I'm going to push through. And there's kind of our front cover right here. Now I'm going to do my best. Now at this stage right here, we're going to add another, and I'm going to go bead, sequin, bead. And And this just gives a little woo. There's going to be lots of flying beads. So I'm going to throw, and you know what, I might do 2 beads and a sequin just to give a little bit more space between each of the pages in the book. So 2, I'm going to drop a lot of these as it goes on. 2 beads, 1 sequin, and every now and then, and this is, you're going to come across a bead that is just a little bit smaller. It doesn't quite fit, so I just pitch it and move on. My little daughter's hands in here, so I'm playing. I pulled out something pretty for her to play with. Oh, there's another one. There we go, we have a winner. 2 beads, 1 sequin, and then 2 more beads. Alright, so here we have it. We have 2 seed beads, 1 sequin in the middle. I'm going to judge where I'm going to have this go through as best as possible on my binding. Now I'm going to do the same thing again. So pull that through. And look, there it is. You know what, that's actually a little too much. I might just do the first page and then match it, and then from here on out I'll do 1 bead, 1 sequin, because that's a little too thick. You know, it's a guessing game. So my first page has got a little bit more room. So from here on out I'm going to do 1 bead, 1 sequin, 1 bead, and then push through to the next page. Alright, so here's my book so far. I did need to leave this a little bit flexible here. If I made this binding too terribly tight, then you would be having to flip the pages like this, and you wouldn't really get to see the book. So it's a little bit of a looser binding. There is some play in it, which is fine, and therefore it allows you to open up your book. So you can actually see the pages of your book, just like this. Okay. And it's still actually tighter to where I can't see each page, but you can see the fun little beads in the between. There they are. And so now I have the base of my book. At this point, what I'm going to go in and do is add some fun embellishments. I might even break out a few pictures and add them in here. I thought it'd be kind of fun. Do something cool like that. So here is the base of my book. This is the end of part 1, how I created all the pages. I did leave a page out. This one just did not... I didn't love it. I tried to do something with the batting to see if it would do something kind of cool, and it kind of fell flat to me. Pages that I've used that I actually ended up liking. I used the osnaburg, which is the material, the big sheet of material that we got. I used the stitch and tear sheet, lots of material sheets. I used the packaging material, which was the original material that came with the package, the envelope, the manila envelope. I used the instructions. So this is one of the instruction sheets that's right here. And then lots of, oh, and then the foam sheet, and then lots of the tissue paper is rolled up in all of this. And then the front and the back pages are padded. So at this point, I am going to end part 1, and we are going to move on to part 2, which is embellishments. So thanks for stopping by. Check out part 2, and I will see you guys again tomorrow. Bye-bye.